Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be recapping the first Doctor Adventures of the Living Darkness, which was released on the 7th of January 2025, and this episode is my first Big Finish 2025 recap, not the first Big Finish episode that comes out in 2025. It's the first proper release because we had the Big Finish podcast and the 2024 content did trickle into 2025 being released. But this is, so this will you'll probably be seeing this in February, March time. I do need to really work out when things are meant to be being released, just so I have a rough idea. So without further ado, because it's 4 pages, so it's going to take me quite a while, there will be a trailer at the end of this episode for a series that I recorded a lot of episodes back to back, and then I've taken a break from it due to there being no more episodes. So that's what the trailer will be about, which I'll talk about at the end of the episode. Without further ado, here's my recap of the first Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness. We start off with the theme tune, and Stephen is ordered to wake up. Stephen believes this person is Dodo. Stephen expresses his anger. Stephen named his daughter Dodo. Stephen believes he is a king. Stephen's daughter communicates with Stephen. Stephen lists some people who have passed away. Stephen mentions an ex-classmate and the Doctor. Something knows what the TARDIS is. Stephen begs to be set free. Stephen sets himself free. Stephen asks something multiple questions. Stephen seems to be electrocuted. Stephen meets a dog. Stephen speaks to some other people about the voice he heard. Stephen reveals he has left Earth. Stephen asks the others if they have any idea what is going on. They don't. The others do theorise some events though, one of them being that they have been in prison for 10 days. Neptune and Uranus are mentioned. Stephen learns the dog's real name. Stephen mentions being a pilot. Stephen introduces himself. Stephen is informed of shock collars. Stephen is told how him and the other prisoners receive their food. Stephen proposes an escape plan. Stephen learns when he and the other prisoners are fed. Stephen asks for water. Stephen inspects a metal hatch. Stephen and the other prisoners attempt their escape plan. One of the other prisoners worried for Stephen's safety. Stephen climbs on something. Stephen reminds himself of his age. Stephen finds a room which he believes is multiple things. Stephen discovers how food is created for the prisoners. Stephen mentions zoos. Stephen smells some food. Stephen asks the dog to find some food. Stephen explains what he's doing. Stephen asks the dog to help him. Stephen calls out for the other prisoners. Stephen and the dog have managed to escape. The dog agrees to accompany Stephen. The Doctor mentions Susan. The Doctor and Stephen reunite. The Doctor is surprised at Stephen's appearance. The Doctor doesn't believe that Stephen is Stephen. Stephen explains to the dog who the Doctor is. The Doctor recognises Stephen. The Doctor realises where Dodo is, as well as him being TARDIS-less. Stephen mentions one of his daughters being named after Dodo. The Doctor analyses Stephen's shock collar. The Doctor mentions mounting goats. Stephen convinces the Doctor to do something. The Doctor meets the other prisoners. The Doctor mentions Vicky. The Doctor theorises what the prison is for. Stephen screams in agony. The Doctor neutralises Stephen and the other prisoners' shock collars. Stephen mentions Nami. The Doctor mentions his mental shields. One of the prisoners insults another. The Doctor discovers which alien species might be behind imprisoning him, Stephen, and the other prisoners. One of the prisoners mentions tiaras and crowns. Another prisoner mentions Earth. The Doctor corrects Stephen. The Doctor is introduced to the layout of the building. The Doctor mentions the laws of physics. The Doctor, Stephen, and the other prisoners meet an alien creature. Stephen mentions Norway. Stephen asks the Doctor to inspect an escape hatch. The dog wants to stay with Stephen. Stephen agrees. The other prisoners disagree. The Doctor, Stephen, and the other prisoners hear a message. Stephen believes that the planet they are on is human-friendly. The Doctor asks one of the prisoners for their help. The Doctor asks another prisoner to do something. The Doctor removes another prisoner's shock collar. One of the prisoners checks on Stephen. Stephen wants to stay to keep hearing his daughter's voice. Stephen informs the Doctor and the other prisoners that they have landed. The dog runs off. The Doctor asks the other prisoners to follow Stephen's voice. The Doctor gets attacked. Stephen and the other prisoners get caught in the middle of a storm. Stephen and one of the other prisoners look for... Stephen and the other prisoners get caught in the middle of a storm. Got distracted there. Stephen and one of the other prisoners look for Dog. The Doctor and one of the other prisoners are recaptured. The Doctor is delighted that one of the other prisoners has been able to obtain a specific object. Stephen attempts to light a fire. Stephen is successful. One of the other prisoners mentions the Doctor. The Doctor insults one of the other prisoners. The Doctor mentions the story's title. The Doctor mentions sheep and hens. The Doctor theorises who his captors are. The Doctor opens a door. Mish is introduced. Mish laughs at Stephen. Stephen learns which planet they are on. This planet is nicknamed the Prison Planet. Mish believes Stephen belongs to him. The Doctor panics. One of the other prisoners believed the Doctor was in trouble. The Doctor works out which planet he, Stephen, and the other prisoners are on. Stephen explains himself. Stephen bargains with Mish. The Doctor explains his plan. Stephen outlines his previous adventure on this planet. The Doctor gets hypnotised. The Doctor explains why he must part with one of the prisoners. Mish attempts to betray Stephen. One of the other prisoners attack Mish and his minion. Stephen and Dog reunite. One of the other prisoners offers Stephen some food. Stephen accepts and eats this. Stephen mentions the SSS. This prisoner checks in with Stephen. This prisoner mentions a note from her wife. Stephen mentions looking back instead of looking forward, as well as his daughters and grandchildren. Stephen lists some of his previous adventures with the Doctor. Stephen and this prisoner return to their cell. One of the other prisoners believes he needs medical assistance. This prisoner mentions his nose and ribs. Stephen informs Nanny of one of the other prisoners' current condition. The Doctor mentions mind toss. The Doctor calls out for Stephen. The Doctor and Stephen communicate. The Doctor explains how Stephen can hear his voice. The Doctor asks Stephen to be quiet. The Doctor explains the reason for this. The Doctor and Stephen learn that some aliens are planning on killing Mish. Stephen attempts to convince the other prisoners to join him on a rescue mission to save Mish. Multiple people attack Stephen. One of the other prisoners threatens Stephen's attackers. Stephen being attacked was part of his plan. Some of the other prisoners believe Stephen is dead. Stephen fills in the Doctor. Stephen apologises. Stephen learns that he and the Doctor communicate 100% telepathically. Stephen describes his surroundings and compares them to a hospital. The Doctor and Stephen discuss how Stephen's life has been since he left the Doctor. Stephen mentions being a king. Stephen regrets one of his past actions. The Doctor believes that he knows what is going on. Stephen attempts to rescue Mish. Mish believes Nanny. Stephen gives Mish a reality check. Mish attacks Stephen. The Doctor calls out. The Doctor believes his memories are being stolen. Mish recognises a smile. Stephen calls out for Mish. Stephen believes Mish has died. Mish's henchman blames Stephen for Mish's death. Stephen reminds Quiz of their first conversation. The Doctor warns Stephen. The Doctor attempts to locate Stephen. The Doctor tells Stephen to not give in. Stephen believes he has let his dead daughter down. Stephen remembers that his dead daughter isn't his dead daughter. The Doctor and Quiz plead with Stephen. The Doctor attempts to save Stephen. The Doctor discovers how Stephen ended up on the ship. Stephen is still alive. The other prisoners attempt to help Stephen. Quiz sings. Stephen wakes up. The Doctor is informed that Stephen is still alive. The Doctor's talk to Communicac. Communicac believes it has been betrayed. The Doctor mentions Mavic Chen and the Daleks, as well as Sarah Kingdom. The Doctor believes Communicac recognises guilt and is wrong about something. The Doctor mentions cruelty. The Doctor explains how the aliens operate. The Doctor mentions Susan. The Doctor yells at Communicac. Compuvac is the actual name. I was just guessing, I think, up to this point. Compuvac agrees to change. Quiz helps Stephen. Compuvac's voice changes. The Doctor begs for his freedom. Stephen expresses his concern for the Doctor. The Doctor and Stephen's A telepathic link reconnects. Stephen explains what has just happened inside his skull. Stephen believes he knows what the Doctor is doing. The Doctor explains the actions he has undertaken. The Doctor's message to Stephen gets cut off. Stephen considers the option that the Doctor could be dead. The Doctor returns. The Doctor gives Stephen some instructions and expresses his faith in him. Stephen finds a jack-o'-lantern. The Doctor helps Stephen find his way. Stephen reminds the Doctor of his increased age since they last met. Mrs. Henchman is eaten. Dog attempts to reunite Ava with Stephen. Stephen and Ava reunite. The Doctor wishes Stephen good luck. Stephen and the other prisoners are now on their own. Stephen and the other prisoners find some unconscious or dead aliens. One of the prisoners mentions Aladdin. Stephen theorises how the aliens function. Stephen learns that the ship he and the other prisoners are on is quickly approaching a planet. Stephen asks one of the other prisoners to do something. Mrs. Henchman threatens Stephen and the other prisoners. Stephen attempts to calm down Mrs. Henchman. Stephen asks someone else to do something. The Doctor starts to panic. Stephen explains his new plan and what he needs the others to do. Stephen attempts to use his brain to save him and the other prisoners. The Doctor is delighted at Stephen's actions. Stephen rescues the Doctor. Stephen checks in with the Doctor. The Doctor introduces Stephen to Compuvac. Stephen asks Compuvac multiple questions. Stephen yells at Compuvac. Stephen works out how he arrived on the ship. The Doctor and Stephen mention time scoops. Stephen believes his dead daughter is alive again. The Doctor believes Compuvac is a computer who has a gut instinct similar to what humans have. Stephen explains why he believes his dodo has been time scooped. He was. The other prisoners learn that Stephen rescued the Doctor. The Doctor mentions his increased age. The Doctor insults Compuvac. The Doctor learns that Stephen's dodo is dead. The Doctor reveals that Compuvac isn't able to time scoop dead people. Stephen calls out for his daughter. Stephen finds Dodo. This Dodo is the Dodo travelling with the Doctor, played by the brilliant Lauren Cornelius. This Dodo doesn't recognise Stephen. Dodo believes that Stephen could be a gardener. Stephen informs Dodo that they have been time scooped. Stephen explains how long it has been since he last saw her. Dodo and Stephen reunite. Dodo apologises. Dodo gets emotional. Stephen asks Dodo about the location of the TARDIS. Stephen informs Dodo of the Doctor's location. Stephen and Dodo have different attitudes to animals. The Doctor and Dodo reunite. Dodo gets annoyed at the Doctor. The Doctor reveals that this Dodo is from the future. Stephen summarises how the Doctor operates. Stephen introduces Dodo to the other prisoners. Stephen mentions Vicky. Stephen fills in Dodo about naming one of his daughters after her. Dodo asks Stephen to fill her in about her life later on. Stephen agrees. Dodo informs the Doctor of his ring glowing. The Doctor mentions another planet. The other prisoners and Dodo learn of Compuvac's actions. The Doctor describes Compuvac's reasons for its actions. The Doctor reveals what he, Stephen, Dodo and the other prisoners all have in common. One of the other prisoners disappear. This prisoner is being scanned. The Doctor, Dodo and Stephen along with the other prisoners find this prisoner. The Doctor gives Compuvac an order. Compuvac's cerebral challenge is mentioned. One of the prisoners explains what this is. Stephen gives Compuvac an order. The Doctor works out what Stephen's plan is. Stephen's plan is attempted. Some memories are triggered. The Doctor and Dodo reveal that Stephen's plan was a success. Compuvac understands why Stephen's plan worked. Compuvac reminds Stephen of some of his memories. The Doctor and Dodo list some people that the SSS would not select. The Doctor, Dodo, Stephen and the other prisoners are selected as SSS agents. The Doctor informs Compuvac what needs to take place. One of the prisoners hands another an object. This prisoner is delighted to have been reunited with this object. Some of the prisoners believe telepathy is a negative thing. The Doctor asks Stephen about Dodo, his daughter. Stephen explains why he decided to step back from being king. Stephen apologises to the Doctor for a past comment. The Doctor apologises to Stephen. Stephen questions Compuvac's actions. The Doctor reveals what the ship's name is. Dodo mentions the weather. The Doctor and Stephen inform the others of an erupting volcano. Dodo reveals her forgotten word technique. Dodo discovers what she believes is Dog's real name. Stephen agrees to take care of Dog. The Doctor insults the time scoop. Dodo and Stephen say goodbye to the other prisoners. Dodo wants to stay in the TARDIS forever. Stephen sings. Dodo mentions Dodo's being extinct. Dodo lists some other animals. Dodo comes up with names for her charity. Dodo wants to move on with her life, a life without the Doctor. The Doctor has no idea where he will be returned to, and the Doctor and Stephen say goodbye for now. That is my recap of the First Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness. Now on to tomorrow's episode, where I'll be recapping Abbott Elementary Season 4 Episode 9, titled Volunteers. Here is the trailer for that episode.
Welcome to Abbott Elementary, the best elementary school in the universe. Is that what this is? It takes two to make a thing go right.
Let me know if there's anything you need, and I mean anything.
The trash, you know that? Coming from the sheriff of trash.
It takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it happen. It takes two to make a thing go right. I wanna rock right now.
That was the trailer for Abbott Elementary Season 4 Episode 9, titled Volunteers, which I'll be recapping in tomorrow's episode. We're back to this episode. Let me know what you thought of the First Doctor Adventures, The Living Darkness. If you listened to it, my review, think your thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well with anything else you want me to cover the channel, such as any previews or recaps. Put those in the comments below as well. And remember, you can also like, comment and subscribe, and that's it for this episode of Everything Podcast. See you in tomorrow's episode for my recap of Abbott Elementary Season 4 Episode 9, titled Volunteers. Goodbye.